Welcome, travelers. I'm Lee Wanika of Tabletop Journeys, and this is On the Right Path. So today we're getting together to talk about how I do a thing, specifically how I build a character, and one character in specific. Over the past few months, you've probably heard me talk a lot about my love of Rangers and the need for me to find narrative fulfillment in playing Rangers. Also, as a storyteller, to build the stories that work with that character archetype. I've even discussed at great length and debated what some of the new games have done with this particular archetype, or how new games have been written, or updates to games have been written, and whether or not they work well with the Ranger and that archetype. So that's what we're here to do. This is not going to be one episode that covers all of that because it's a really big topic. And I'm going to try to steer clear of some of the pickier details and some of the controversy about what's great, what's not great. I may touch on it, but I'm not here to dwell on that. I'm just going to show you how I build one Ranger style archetype. To do that, I'm going to talk about several things. The way in which I optimize characters and how that works narratively. Because optimization doesn't have to be a bad thing. It doesn't have to be a negative thing. And I think I do it in a way that's hopefully a little unique and, more importantly, hopefully very inspirational as to how you can build a character that's fun to play, powerful at the table, but not distracting or damaging to the overall fun of other players at the table. Does involve a little min-maxing here or there, but again, that's something that has a stigma attached to it, but it doesn't necessarily have to. Min-maxing doesn't have to be bad. And in fact, it's only bad if you're doing something in a way to take away from somebody else's fun. And lastly, this build does rely heavily on multiclassing for a whole lot of reasons. Now, before we really get into how that works or how all of these episodes are structured, I should note that much of this was actually recorded over the summer and based exclusively on the 2014 D&D rules by Wizards of the Coast. The reason for that is that was the game that was being played at the time. I was playing a character in a live stream, Old Ways to Spiro. You could definitely see that. The links will be in the show notes, as well as the playlist should be listed here. It's not a Tabletop Journeys channel, but they're great friends of the show, and a lot of what I do and a lot of what we do at Tabletop Journeys shows up in those episodes of that actual play. So you'll not only be able to hear how I built my character, but you're also going to be able to go to those links and see that character at play. Now, as I said, this was back last summer, so you're going to see this nice blue background whenever I'm talking today, current, fall, early winter of 2024. If you see the gray background, that's the stuff that was recorded previously. Now, I'll be honest with you, not much has changed because that was the character that was. But at the end of talking about the original character, you get to see how I converted that to 2024 D&D. And you'll see how things have changed, and I will be talking about the differences between the two games there and some playstyle differences between the two games. Lastly, I'm going to end the series by talking about Tales of the Valiant. I have not yet, as of the point of this recording, completed that conversion, but I am working on it because I want to get it just right. That way, I will actually have a great comparison with one single character across 3 different versions of 5e. And I think we might learn a lot along the way. The episodes themselves are going to be structured. First piece is going to be on the concept of the character. All the things that went into what I wanted to build and why. The next episode will be on collaboration, how I worked with my storyteller and other players to make this character come to life. Then and only then will I talk about the build itself and the build plan for the future. That build plan is something I do for nearly every character I build in 5e, and depending on the game system, I will do some version of that in other games. So look forward to that episode. That should be interesting. And lastly, a recap of the 2014 characters and the tips and techniques that go into that. The 2024 character, which I will have played a few sessions, I think 3 by the time we get to that episode, and some tips and techniques that I've learned with that. And finally, the Tales of the Valiant character. The tips and techniques that I would like to use or I think will work. I need to find a GM who's running Tales of the Valiant for me to really try that character out to see how it plays at the table. But I'm really interested in that. So if you're a Tales of the Valiant GM and you'd like this character build in your game, let me know. I'd be happy to give it a run. Set me up with a one-shot with players in your regular group. Let me step in. I promise I'm not breaking your game. I'm just going to role play a character that fits in your world in the way you want it to. Looking forward to it.